This is Wendy Palmer from Leadership Embodiment and the Embodiment Foundation. She's going to be taking us through a centering practice.
Let's begin with our posture. Lengthen our spine a little bit by sitting up straight. And as we inhale, out the top of the head, and then a long exhale down the front, softening our chest. And one more time, as we inhale, we lengthen the back of the neck up. Keeping the long spine, as we exhale, we soften down the front, breathing into the earth, settling. And then paying attention to our personal space, the sense of the space behind us, in front of us, and to our left and right. And see if we can let that space expand a little bit and enjoy the sense of openness. Letting our shoulders soften a little bit with gravity. And inviting equality. You might ask, what would it be like if there was a little more ease in our bodies right now? That feels better.
Thank you. Wendy, will you talk to us a little bit about the changes that have been occurring in the Leadership Embodiment Teacher Training?
Yes, it's actually quite exciting. We're moving from primarily focusing on developing a level 1 public offering to groups, to focusing on working with individual coaching for leaders and teams. And what I love about that, and what's been exciting, because it's been creative for me, is to take elements of the level 1 exercises that are exercises that represent generic situations somatically, and bring them into whatever is immediately up for the client. So we might take a little bit of a leader-follower and just pull out the bit of what's it like to have somebody who's walking next to you who stops being supportive, who stops being connected. How does that affect one's body? And how do you work with that and center with that, given the situation that person may not come back? And then we sit down and have a conversation about that, because what might have come up in our coaching was that that person feels that their lead is not supporting them, or a report is no longer doing their job. So we are able to actually act that out through an embodied practice, and then come back and discuss the implications of how changing the energy pattern can actually change the way a leader or a person relates to that particular challenge. So it's been fun and creative for me to work more with the challenges, especially organizational challenges that leaders have, and finding aspects of the classical level 1 techniques that address that very specific challenge, and then how to bring that into the way they're going to talk and respond, because most of what they're going to be doing in their organization is in conversation, whether it's email, voicemail, or personal one-to-one conversations.
Very nice. So we understand you have trainings coming up, I believe at the end of 2012. Where are you running those trainings?
We're going to be starting one here in California, which I'm really excited about, because that's our home base. And we're starting another one in Europe, because we've completed one in Europe this spring, and we're doing another one. It'll be based in London. And it's nice in that situation, because now we have a group of mentors who can come in and support people during the training, which we've always had for a number of years here in California, where the bulk of our people who've been trained reside. Now we're starting to develop that in Europe, and it's based in London. So I'm really looking forward to having the community grow and support each other starting in the fall.
And who do you think this kind of training is going to be most valuable for?
Well, what people who've been most interested in it and who've been coming to the trainings the most in the last couple of years have been coaches and facilitators. They've been finding that this somatic piece, the way of doing assessments somatically and the way of encouraging people to study their patterns is a shortcut to the more developed coaching that people do. Because once people understand their patterns somatically and can make the shift, people don't have to spend so long in the story or trying to sort out their feelings and their emotions about situations. If they can shift to center, they're often able to see the big picture. So coaches are really enjoying this, and facilitators. And we'll also have a body of people who are interested in working with teachers who are teachers and working with spreading this in the that community. So that's exciting as well.
Great. And people can find more information on the website Embodiment International?
.com.
Fantastic. Great. Now I'd like to shift and ask you a few questions about the nonprofit wing of the organization, the Embodiment Foundation that was recently created.
Oh yes, that's actually very exciting and close to my heart. The Embodiment Foundation is our new nonprofit, and what's exciting is that we can begin to serve underprivileged populations. And that's always been an area that's been close to my heart. I spent 7 years having a program in a women's federal prison, working with that population, and found it very, very satisfying, and I learned so much working there. And we're now working in the townships in South Africa and other underprivileged groups, bringing them these tools for empowerment. I love the idea that we might be able to serve other populations as well. So the Tibetan population is close to my heart as well, having studied Tibetan Buddhism for many years. And I love the Tibetan people. And now they're struggling quite a bit in Nepal. Many of them are displaced people from Tibet. They don't have the circumstances to be able to live productive, healthy lives. And so some of the children are really struggling and getting into drugs. The idea that we could actually bring some of these tools to support them and empower them to find more skillful ways to deal with their challenges is very exciting to me. We're hoping for some other projects too. I know Tavani is really interested in bringing this to teachers, because if teachers have more empowerment tools, they'll be able to work with the challenges they have more skillfully, and therefore empower their students to be able to step into some of these roles that are challenging with more confidence, presence, and compassion. So I'm thrilled about this because it means that we can touch people in parts of the world that would normally not be able to afford to come to our trainings or know about them. And at the same time, we can still work with leaders and organizations that are really changing the world and offer them tools to be able to develop that capacity for integrity, confidence, to be able to operate with that sense of ethical, moral value that allow them to be successful and at the same time be skillful in how they move their organizations forward and make money.
Great. So we understand that you've been running one program in South Africa already, working with people in the townships of Cape Town, and you're looking at running a second program to be able to help teach those participants how to actually mentor others. So is that a vision you see going forward, to be able to teach people underprivileged to teach it to others?
Oh, absolutely. We're hoping to be able to get more funding to do that, take it forward in South Africa. The people that we've offered the work to have been just so positive in their responses, and to see their faces light up when they realize they have this tool that they can actually use to work with some of the stressors in their situations. And then to give them some training so they'll be able to mentor others, and it can spread hopefully like a positive virus. And I see that going forward. South Africa could be our pilot program, our template. And as we cultivate a little bit more precision and understanding of how that happens, we might be able to take that into other areas too. Because when we're working with people who are have very different living conditions, we go in and we have an idea, but it's really helpful if we have some sort of flexibility so they can teach us what they need, and they can help us learn how to help them, instead of going in assuming we know exactly what they need based on our experience. We go in with some sense of container and ideas, and then we want to leave room to learn from them, which we've been doing in South Africa. It's been amazing learning for us, and wonderful to see how they help us understand how we can help them. So my sense is we could do that also with the Tibetan population in Nepal, possibly with teachers. I think there's a lot of places in the world where people could really use these empowerment tools. And I'm excited and about offering them, and hope that people in the community will step forward and offer proposals of areas in which they feel excited and inspired, where we might be able to bring this work, so that we can therefore go and ask people directly for funding, so that they could support particular projects that we have that might be close to their heart as well.
Where do you see the foundation, say, in 30, 40, 50 years?
That's always hard for me. And I would hope that the foundation would grow so that we would have centers and areas in different continents, and be able to help people, for instance, in Brazil, in the favelas, in South Africa, that we would have a center up and running where there'd be an established program where we could feed not only the underprivileged people in the favelas, but the people who are teaching them through this program. I'd love to see it in India. I'd love to see centers in different places in India up and running where we have established groups. We would even perhaps have a place where people could come regularly and go through training programs to learn how to empower people and how to mentor and spread it. Other countries in Africa, of course, there's a great need. Someone I know is from Armenia, and she said there's a huge need in Armenia for battered women. Apparently it's quite prevalent there, which is tragic. How could we get some centers up and running in Armenia so that women could learn the tools to stand up for themselves? So I think that there's a fabulous opportunity throughout the globe for places where we could create centers and teachers, where there could be programs where they could adjust to that environment. So I would imagine that it could spread and be quite viral in many places in the globe.
Thank you so much for sharing about the Embodiment Foundation. It sounds very exciting and inspirational, and we look forward to hearing more about it in the future.
Well, thank you, and I am excited about it, and I think it's wonderful now we have these two different sort of aspects of the work, and we do want to continue to empower the leaders in organizations and really get to those top leaders so they do have these tools. They're simple tools. They integrate with a lot of other basic development programs, and we want to keep that going. At the same time, we really want to reach people that normally would not have access to it. So I'm thrilled that we now have both possibilities, and look forward to learning how to grow it and learning more about how one grows and develops a foundation, and how we do invite people to donate to us that care, that are interested. That's part of my learning.
Will you take us out with a little blessing?
I certainly will. Let's take a moment, and again, in case we've gotten a little bit sort of low ceiling, we'll lift that ceiling up with a lengthening, and let's expand out a little bit more and have the sense that we're really connected to all things. So if we relate to the space, we can recognize the space connects us to all things. And then bringing our attention to our hearts, let's say for ourselves, may I be happy so I can spread happiness. May I be peaceful so I can spread peace. May I be filled with love so I can spread love. And then extending our awareness out over the entire planet, thinking of all those people in all the different countries and continents. May all beings be happy. May they be peaceful. And may they feel loved. Imagine that bright light energy radiating out from our hearts, connecting with lights from other hearts, like a spider web in the morning covered with dew and little droplets, all of our hearts sparkling together. And one more inhale up, long exhale down. Thank you.
Thank you.